Hello guys, welcome back to my channel English Academy. Guys, before starting the topic, please like, share, follow, comment and subscribe the channel. Guys, if you have subscribed the channel, now guys come on the topic, the poem Solitary Reaper. Guys, in the previous video, I have explained the first and the second stanza of the poem, The Solitary Reaper. Guys, once again, in short, I am going to repeat the meaning of the first and second stanza. In the first stanza, the poet describes how he came across a highland girl who was both reaping corn and singing a song. The poet touches upon the three features of the song. He meets the girl of sudden. He finds that the song of this girl is melancholy, which he has appeared when he says, "Oh, listen, for the well profound is overflowing with the sound." Guys, in the second stanza of the poet says that the song of the Highland girl is very thrilling and melodious. He becomes quite motionless when he listens to the song of the solitary reaper. He says that the voice of the solitary reaper is sweeter than that of the nightingale. It is more thrilling than the voice of the coward. He says, "No nightingale did ever chant more welcome notes to weary wind." Guys, in this video, now we will explain third and fourth stanza of the poem. Let's start now. Will no one tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow for old unhappy far of things and battles long ago, or is it some more humble lay, familiar matter of the day? Some natural sorrow, loss, or pain that has been and maybe again. Guys, first of before explaining the stanza, first of all we will know the meaning of one by one word of the line. Will no one tell me what he sings? Guys, in this line the poet says that in this line the poet doesn't understand the meaning of the song. He wants to know what she is singing about. Next line, perhaps the plaintive numbers flow. Guys, plaintive means melancholy, numbers means songs, perhaps means probably. Guys, the poet guesses that it is a sad song for all. Next line, for old unhappy far off things. Old means ancient, unhappy means sad, far off things means incident which happened in the past. Next line, and battles long ago. Battles means fought. In the in these lines the poet guesses that she is singing some old unhappy songs which related to some battles fought in ancient times. Next line, or is it some more humble lay? Guys, humble means ordinary, lay means event. Familiar matter of next line is familiar matter of today. Guys, familiar means known, matter means the subject matter of the topic. Today means present. Some natural sorrow, loss or pain. Sorrow means sad. Pain means suffering. That has been and maybe again. Guys, the poet says that she is singing about some sorrow, loss or pain which occurred in the past and may happen again in future. Guys, now we explain the whole stanza. Will no one tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow for old unhappy far off things and battles long ago, or is it some more humble lay, familiar matters of today, some natural sorrow, loss, or pain that has been and may be again, whatever the theme the maiden sang, as if her song could have no ending. I saw her singing at her work. Sorry. Some natural sorrow, loss, or pain that has been and maybe again. Guys, now in this stanza, the poet says that the girl is singing in her native language. The poet can't understand its meaning and words. He wants to know what she is singing about. He guesses that possibly she is singing of some old, unhappy, far off things, of some battles fought in ancient times. Or perhaps her song is about some common people and sad events of the everyday occurrence. It may be that she is singing about some sorrow, loss, or pain which occurred in the past and may again in future. Guys, after explaining the whole stanza, now we discuss about the literary devices which are used in this stanza. First of all, we will see the literary terms which are rhyme scheme. Guys, a rhyme scheme is a musical sound at the end of the line. Guys, some same rhyme scheme is here: AB, AB, CC, DD. Let's see the words at the end of the line. In the first and third lines, sings and thinks. Here is rhyme is A. In the second and fourth line is flow and ego. Here is B. Here is rhyme B. Both are rhyming here. In fifth and sixth line, lay and day. Here rhyme scheme is C. In the seventh and eighth line, pain and again. Here is rhyme scheme is D. So this kind of rhyme scheme is followed in this stanza. Guys, next we see alliteration. Guys, what is alliteration? I just told that alliteration is a repetition of consonant sounds in the beginning two or more consecutive words. Guys, we will see alliteration in this line. Perhaps the plaintive number flow. Guys, in this perhaps the plaintive number flow. Guys, here p sound is repeated here. Guys, next literary terms is that assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds throughout many lines. Here in this stanza, repetition of E sound is very prominent. You can see it in the following words: will, sings, plaintive, things, is, it, familiar, pain, again, etc. Guys, let's come on the next stanza. Whatever the theme, the maiden sang, as if her song could have no ending. I saw her singing at her work, and over the sickle bending. I listened motionless and still, and as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore, long after it was here no more. Guys, guys, in this stanza, we first of all we see the meaning of the one by one word of the line. In the first line, whatever the theme the maiden sang. Guys, the themes means the subject matter of the song. Maiden means girl. In this line, the poet says that I can't whatever the subject matter of her song, which was she singing. Next line, as if her song could have no ending. Here the poet says that it seems that perhaps her song is never ended. Next line, I saw her singing at her work, and next line, and over the sickle bending. Guys, sickle means a kind of tool which is used to cut the crop. In this line, the poet says that she is singing without take any rest and cutting the crops with the sickles. I listened motionless and still. The poet in this line, the poet says that the poet becomes motionless when he listens the voice of this girl. And as I mounted up the hill, guys, mounted means climbed, climb, climbed. The music in my heart I bore. Guys, bore means bear. Long after it was here no more. Guys, in this line, the poet says that I listened motionless and still, and as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore. Long after it was here no more. Guys, the poet says that I become motionless when I listen the voice of the solitary river, and the music of the voice of her music is pleasured me. Now, guys, we explain the whole stanza. Whatever the theme, the maiden sang as if her song could have no ending. I saw her singing at her work and over the shekel bending. I listened motionless and still, and as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore. Long after it was here no more. In this last stanza, the poet says that the girl went on singing as if her song would never end. Whatever the subject matter of her song, she kept on singing as if her song would never end. Whatever the subject matter of her song, she kept on singing as if her song would never finish. She is singing while she was bending and reaping the corn with her sickle. The poet stood silent listening to her music. Then he climbed up the hill and could no longer hear the music. Still in his heart he heard that the music long after his ears were unable to hear it. He carried the music in his memory. Its effect on the poet was great. Its memory became a joy forever for the poet. Guys, what are the literary terms used in this stanza? The literary terms used in this stanza are rhyme scheme, alliteration, assonance, etc. Guys, what is rhyme scheme? I just told that rhyme scheme is a musical sound at the end of the line. Here, the same rhyme scheme is followed in this stanza. Again, guys, again in this stanza, a rhyme scheme is missing here because first and third lines we see rhyming is a, but the words is different. The words are different. Sung, work. So we can say that there is no rhyme scheme, and a rhyme scheme is missing here. In the third and fourth line, rhyming is B, ending and bending. In the fifth and sixth lines, rhyming is C, still and hill. In the seventh and eighth line, the rhyme scheme is D. For example, bore and more. Now we discuss the literary term alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound in the beginning of two or more consecutive words in the lines. For example, whatever the theme the maiden sings, here the sound is repeated. I saw her singing at her work. In this line, S sound is also repeated. Next literary terms is assonance. Guys, what is assonance? Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds throughout many lines. For examples, median, if, ending, sinking, shekel, listen, still, and hill. Here, I sound is very prominent. Thank you guys for. So, guys, I hope that you understand the explanations of the poem and what are the literary terms used in this poem and how can we use in the next poem. Thank you guys for watching the video. Guys, don't forget to like the video. Thank you.